Let us explore the distinguished family of the great Roman man. This man is Marcus Antonius, the paternal grandfather of a great Roman man. Marcus was a famed Roman orator. Let's hear of it. And so, my fellow Romans, that is why we should have free bacon. The maternal grandfather of our great Roman was Lucius, the uncle of Julius Caesar. Here we see the good uncle Lucius giving a toy to little Caesar, which made him very happy. The father of the great Roman man was Antonius Creticus, who was a military leader. The mother was Julia. The couple loved each other very much, and one day Julia became pregnant. And somewhere between 82 and 83 BCE, the great Roman man, whose legacy would be remembered and revered long after his days, was born. His name is Marc Antony. In the bath is P. Cornelius Lentulus, the stepfather of little Marc. Just remember, the man with the big hat is Cicero. Marc's stepfather was killed on Cicero's order, an act Marc would not forget. In his early life, Marc was an alcoholic. Chug, 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 chug! A ladies' man. All wine. And a gambler. He also was an excessive spender, buying big statues. But despite all this, even his enemies had to note his great courage. Marc's journey begins in Rome, Italy. He went to Syria, then to Palestine, and finally ending up in Egypt. He served with distinction in the cavalry in these places. Let's look at one of his battles in Egypt. He was a great warrior, and his victories in the battlefield would earn him the attention of Caesar. After his cavalry expedition, he left Egypt and traveled to Gaul, where Julius Caesar was. Halt! Don't worry about it, man. I'm just here to see Julius. Let me through. Okay. Salute! Hello, Marc. Let us talk about your promotion. At Gaul, he became part of Caesar's staff, the first step towards his rise to power. Marc left Gaul and traveled back to Italy. He became a quaestor and a manager of financial affairs. Shiny. Shiny. I'll keep this one. Before being promoted to tribune. With the help of Caesar, he also drove Pompey out of Italy in 49 BCE. He died in Egypt. Marc also spent a lot of time defending Caesar and his interests. In the Senate, he would argue against Caesar's enemies. My fellow Romans, Caesar loves you all, but he didn't give me a cookie at the Senate party. That's because you weren't there. But sit down. He even bribed Caesar's enemies. How about I give you one shiny jewel for your vote to make Caesar the next Senate party host? No. He sometimes even violently threatened Caesar's enemies to make them turn. Your vote, or your head. Okay, just don't kill me. Help! He was eventually promoted co-consul due to his loyalty to Caesar. Et tu, Brute? Et tu, random assassin? Et tu, Cassius? Jeez. No. Caesar was stabbed 23 times. Marc, even though he knew about the plot, was not quick enough to save Caesar, his master, his mentor, and his friend. Marc, after Caesar's death, read his will out loud. Since Caesar loves you all, he left a great part of his wealth to you. The loss of Julius Caesar hurt Mark Antony greatly. Pursued by multiple enemies, Mark left Rome and ran to Gaul. He was besieged in Gaul, surrounded on all four sides by the Senate, Roman forces, liberators, the killers of Caesar, and Cicero and Octavian, Caesar's adopted son. However, Mark held out. Sometime during the siege, Lepidus and Octavian went to Mark's military base. Prepare to fire. No, wait. Drop your guns. I want to hear what they have to say. And after that meeting, the siege was lifted, and the Second Triumvirate was formed. The Second Triumvirate then left Gaul and headed back to Rome. With a lot of coffee, the trio made a kill list. Lepidus killed Brutus. Octavian killed Cassius, who only died because he tripped. And Mark killed his old nemesis Cicero. You will leave. We will leave. And so, the trio, through violence, were brought closer together. They became friends. Mark headed east where he governed, but more importantly, he went to Egypt to meet Cleopatra, his soon-to-be love. Oh, Cleopatra, it has been forever since I have laid eyes on your face.
Same, Mark.
Give me a hug. Psych!
That wasn't very nice.
I have brought with me 3 things, that you may only choose one as your gift. Do you want a shiny jewel, an extremely heavy gold bar, or a simple letter addressed to you?
A letter? I want to know what your heart is saying about me. The view is lovely from up here.
It is. May I ask why there are aliens here?
They have us build the pyramids, silly.
I regret to inform you, Cleopatra, that this will be our last dinner in a while.
Why?
I must head back to Rome. Octavian and my family are quarreling. There could be war. I must prevent the bloodshed.
But our time together seems so short.
I know. I have to leave you. But soon after this affair is settled, I shall return.
Could you do something for me?
Anything, my dear.
Let me see your hair. It's beautiful.
As are you. I love you.
I love you too.
So with that, Mark left Egypt and headed back to Rome. In Rome, Mark found that his wife and brother, Fulvia and Lucius, violently opposed Octavian. However, due to Fulvia's death, war was averted. To heal the rift between Octavian and Mark, Octavian offered his sister, Octavia, to marry Mark. The two became buds again. Lepidus fell from the Second Triumvirate. I'll let the clip explain. Just gonna let that sink in. Mark left Rome to go to Parthia, where a campaign was being waged to keep Rome in the area and Rome's enemies out. Though Mark had some wins, the Parthian campaign was not successful. As skillful a general as he was, his strategies were not up to par with his old master, Caesar. But certainly better than Octavian. Octavian, angry with some of the victories Marc had, conspired against Marc, heading to convince senators Marc was ruining the Roman Republic. That was nice of Senator Ted to send me this nice gold bar. Who is this from? Oh, Marc again. Well, I'm gonna put a damper in his campaign. Marc left Parthia and headed back home to Rome for the last time. He met with the Senate and said his farewell speech. The East gives me more promise of a better life. I am now leaving the Second Triumvirate and heading out east. Long live the Roman Republic. He divorced Octavia. Give me my ring back. We'll regret this. Bye. Octavian, outraged and craving power, spoke to the Senate. When Marc goes out east, he will join forces with that Cleopatra, and they will split this great republic in half. We must act now. Let me go after him and destroy him. Marc, fleeing Rome and pursued by Octavian, went to Actium. There, a naval battle ensued. Octavian heavily outnumbered and outgunned Marc. Marc then fled to Egypt with Octavian in hot pursuit. There in Egypt, in the shade of the pyramids, they stood one last time.
Take off your armor, Mark, and let me see your beautiful hair one last time.
Okay,
I love you.
I love you too. 3, 2, 1.